Good evening all, and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be doing some work on my KTM today. I've got a KTM 640 supermoto. I'll just show. This is a KTM 640 supermoto. I wasn't actually going to bother doing anything on this, but I'm going to take the starter motor off, so I figured I'll do a little bit of a video for it as well, because it's can be helpful for someone that's not too sure. Very simple, very straightforward job to remove. Obviously the starter motor is just sort of here behind the cylinder head there. A little bit of rust on top. There's a cable on top here, and then there's 2 bolts. So all you need to remove the starter motor is an 8mm spanner and a 10mm spanner, and that is absolutely it. So of course make sure the battery's disconnected. Remove this one, there's a 10mm nut there on top. Remove this. Once that's gone, you can then remove your 2 8mm nuts just here, or 8mm bolts, sorry. They are slightly different, so like I say, I have loosened these off. So, because like I say, I wasn't going to do it, so I just started cracking on. One is shorter than the other. And we notice when they actually take them off. That one's longest, so the one closest to the front, as you can see, the body of that is actually longer, shorter, so they are different sizes, so just bear that in mind when you're taking them off. Of course, get this out of the way, move him off, and then that's it then. That just simply pops out. On the other side, going into the other side of the engine, there is an O-ring, a seal, so you have to give it a good wiggle and then pop it out, possibly use your hand from the other side and push it whilst pulling. This one has been out, so it should hopefully just pop out nicely, but we'll see. There we go, yeah, popped out quite nice. There we are, and that is simple, that is it. That is absolutely it, and there he is. There's the starter motor. So I'm going to do a video on stripping this down. I've had a bit of a starting issue with this bike where it's struggling to start. It's not the battery. I think the brushes in here might need changing, or it just needs cleaning. So I'm going to give it a go anyway. It's easy enough to do. So attached to this video, I'm just going to do that at a later date, probably tonight. I will see if I get time to do it. So it'll just be a demonstration video, stripping that down, giving it a clean, and then I'll reinstall it back onto the bike. So yeah, I'll cut away now, and we'll look forward to that next. Okay, so got the starter motor out now, ready to strip it. This starter motor is an SM-13, it's a Mitsuba one. It's not specific to a KTM, it's used on quite a wide range of different bikes. Different manufacturers use it, but the only thing specific, or in this case KTM 640, is the brush holder and brushes. So we're going to replace them today, and hopefully that has a positive effect on this starter motor, starts working properly. I haven't done a video of what it was doing wrong, and I'm a bit annoyed really, because I could have done a comparison, but basically all it was doing, it was just weak. You try and crank it over, it was cranking and it would stop. Like a weak battery. It's not the battery, I've tested the battery's fine. So I'm assuming the brushes are worn, but we're going to take it off anyway and have a look. Quite simple to do actually. You've got the two bolts on the top there, 1 and 2, 7mm. We'll crack them off. They've got little seals underneath them, so just bear in mind with the seals underneath, you don't want them to break. If they do break, you definitely need to replace them, because otherwise you're going to get water inside it once it's rebuilt, and that would just be disastrous. So yes, want to make sure that that's they're safe. Also, one to bear in mind is these go on specific ways. If you look on the body, I don't know if you can see it, you have small lines there, you can see them just about, and sort of grooved into the body of it there. You need to make sure those lines line up, because they can only go on one way, and if they don't line up, you're going to be there trying to wiggle it and trying to find out how they go back on. So quite simply, undo these 7mm bolts. It's all you need actually, is a 7mm spanner. Is it 7mm? Yeah, 7mm spanner and a 10mm. And that's kind of all you need really. to do this job if you're just stripping it. So we'll get them off quickly, and then we'll split it, have a look inside. That's one. There we go. Pop it off there. We're going to measure the length. We've got a vernier caliper here, so we're going to measure the length of these brushes. Now, again, I wasn't know there probably are more specific. Oh, is it coming off? Yeah, there we go. More specific specs and tolerances, but as a rule, you go with an 8mm, the length of the brush from one side to the other side where the cable is, and that way, if they're under 8mm, of course they need replacing. So this is the side, of course, the side with the terminal on it, that's the side that we want. So I'm going to start with splitting that. It just simply pops off there. It is magnetic, of course, so just give it a bit of pull, and bear in mind what's the seal. So I'm going to leave that to one side for now. And as you can see inside, that's the brush holder, and then the brushes next to it. And I can see already that they're actually quite worn down. You can't really see from there. I will remove it so you can see it better, but just like looking at the new ones, there's not a great deal of length on them, so I'm more than certain that is the reason. If you can see them there, we'll take them out and measure them anyway, but all we need to do for that is you've got two 10mm nuts on there and then two fibre washers underneath it to make sure they go in the right order. I have loosened these off previously, what I'm doing with my hand, just to make it easier. So two of those, and then the washers as well, don't lose them, like that. And then you sort of push that out and pull it from the top, because there's nothing, no bolts on nuts, anything holding that in. It's just rests in place, and then we go, just pops out like that. Quite simple. A bit dusty in there, so give it a good clean, because you're going to get a lot of build up of nastiness. So this is the old brush holder and brushes. You can see the brushes in there. Now straight away, looking at that one in particular, there's near to nothing left on that. So I'm going to measure it. Trusty calipers, vernier caliper. Oh, zero it. There we are. Are we going to be able to do that without taking it out? Yeah, we can get in the gap there and just measure it. So from one end to the other. That's not going to work, is it? Okay, so that's measuring 9.3. Okay, so that's not without tolerance. Oh, it was a bit dodgy. Okay, and then we'll measure this one as well. To be fair, I think I was on the other bit there. I'm not going to be able to do that without it out. Oh yeah, we can squeeze it in there. There we go. That was 11mm. So there's a considerable difference in between the two of them. Yeah, so 9. This is about 9mm. So as far as they're worn go, they're not under the tolerances, but they do look a lot less than those ones. So I'm going to replace them anyway, and hopefully it does solve the problem. Turn that off. Yeah, so they're not under 8mm, so they're not sort of out. So they're not too bad, but they are. One's a lot shorter than the other, and they do look a bit worn. So it, you know, they're cheap enough. This cost me like 12 quid for that set, and you get the new bolts, the new nuts, everything in there. Oh, a seal as well, actually. There's a seal in there too. Where's that supposed to go? Is this going there? Oh, yeah, it is as well. Yeah, so everything you need. So I'm just going to simply replace that. Put it all back in. One thing we can do as well while we're here is sort of clean the rest of it up. So you can take the other side off it. I'll have a look, bear in mind the washers, there's a lot of build up of crap in there, so I'm going to get some a bit of a very, very fine wire wool just to clean the insides and clean it up properly, and then re-lubricate it. Same one there as well. Just give it a nice clean up. Watch the washers on the back, don't want to lose them. So I'm going to clean them up, cut away, give them a nice clean, and then we'll get back to rebuilding it. At least then that eliminates any problems in the future. So we'll just get that done quickly. Okay, so I've given that a quick clean. I've put it back on, just a very, very fine wire wool, just to take the crap off it and give it the shine back. Of course, put that back on, lining up those little notches. Okay, so that's as clean as it'll get. It's not going to be perfect, but it's better than it was. So now we're ready to put the new brushes in. Now, if you look sort of in comparison to the two, the brush length is quite considerable. So even though it's not quite out of tolerance, it is very short, and it might be out of tolerance for this particular starter motor. The 8mm is just a guide, but it could be under. But this is nice, fresh. Got lots of brush there to play with. So I'll put this on and then we'll get it on the bike. The bike's not actually here, unfortunately, so I can't do it now, annoyingly. But yeah, so of course when you're going back in, make sure it goes in the right way. So sort of brushes facing downwards, slots in. Of course, getting in there. You can change that. There's a bloody cat jumping on the getaway cat. Cats everywhere here. The little, oh, I'll check it actually just in case, because it comes with a few little bits that you can change. Some small seals and what have you, but I think it's sort of more for, I guess, other ones, but because I don't really need to use anything else. All I need is, yeah, I'm not going to bother using them. I don't need them. I'll keep them as spare. I'll use the old one because the old ones are fine. So we're going to put it back with the old washer, the old nuts. So, like I say, simply putting that in there first, line it up as best as you can, pull it through, and then this should then slot into place. Now there are grooves, are there? No. Oh, there are, yeah, sorry, of course there are. There's one groove on that side, so that needs to fit in, if you can see, in the body there, those two slightly sticking out. So it needs to go in between that it lines up with that one there. So it needs to fit in, otherwise it's not going to go in properly. You actually need to, because it's new, give it a bit of a wibble wobble, chocolate bobble, and it'll go in nicely like that. Perfect. So that's gone in. Make sure it sort of slightly goes down about a mil underneath, and that's in. Once that's there, you can put then the fibre washers on. Big one first, like that, followed by the little one, and then the first nut. Bit of fluff, get rid of that. Okay, hand tight for now. We can tighten it up. Didn't need to be too tight at all, just nipped at all, not too tight. I do have actually a spanner here. It's a brake pipe spanner, but it'll do. Just nip it up there. Lovely stuff. That'll do. Not too tight because it's only small. And then of course the other one, that's just finger tight for now because that's to secure the cable for the bike, the actual lead. So put them away. Not falling out. Put them away for now. Yeah. So it is quite a difference. So that's on. And then that's it. That's all you need to do. It's dead simple. And then you're just putting it back together again. But when you're putting it in, of course you can see it's wider here, so you sort of put it in there and then push it against the brushes, because if you try and put it against the brushes, it's never going to go in. So that way, and push it up, as you see, make sure the seals are in place. Put it in like that, as you can see, on a bit of an angle, and then we're going to simply push the brushes upwards. Of course, bearing in mind you're lined up properly, which I forgot. Of course, the grooves on the side, and then the line, so there's the pin there, there we go. And then of course, slightly to the side, and then we'll push it in, and there we go. Slots in place just like that, dead easy. Before you tighten it up, just give it a quick spin. Now I can straight away, I can feel that's a lot more
there's a lot of grip on that, because there's a lot more, was it even in properly? Yeah, it is, just being a funny bugger. I'm going to take it back off again just in case, just to check. But yeah, there's a lot more brush, so there's a lot to spin it like that first. Yeah, there's a little bit of clearance. There's just a lot more material, so there's a lot more resistance on the starter motor when you sort of spin it on your own like that. But there we go, make sure that's in nicely. Yeah, that spins lovely. There's not too many, you can spin it fine, but it's a lot tighter than it was, so you can tell it's definitely doing its job more. Of course, I'm replacing the big bolts there again. Like I say, if you can see, there's the little black washer, and sorry, the little black seal. Make sure that's not split, because that's going to stop all the water and any moisture going in. So make sure that's in place nicely on the turning. Get it in there, tighten it up, and then once it's all tightened up on both sides, ready to go back on the bike, and hopefully it will work and it'll crank over properly, because it has got a kickstart, which is great, but my god, it's a 625 single cylinder. When it kicks back, I've nearly lost my toes and lost my ankle about, well, I lost count how many times, but it hurts when it kicks back, so it's not ideal. So hopefully this does solve the issue. And that's still turning, that's fine. But it's popping out. Why is it popping out? Okay, so we're going to get that tightened up. Once it's tightened up, then we'll that's it really. It's done, then it can go back on the bike, so we'll reinstall it, get it all in. Once it's on the bike, we'll give it a test, and hopefully it'll do. But I'm going to get the bike here tomorrow, so once it's here, we'll fit it, and fingers crossed. But yeah, I'll leave it there for now, and we'll cut back after. Where is it? Fucking asshole.
Okay, so we've got the start motor in, just ready to go back on the bike now. I'm not going to do a full video on how to actually put that together. It's just simply reverse order of how it came off. But of course, making note of the bolt lengths, like I'd mentioned before, and then put all the wires back together. Of course, the rubber seal there, the O-ring, make sure that's all not split, and it goes in properly, and then bolt it up, put the wire back on, and then that's it. Dead simple. So I'm gonna cut away, get that done now, put it back together, and then hopefully it works.
so I can MOT the thing, because it's been a bit of a pain at the moment. Not that that's a thing, the only reason I'm not MOT is actually because of the lights, but that's a different story. Anyway, let's get it done and yeah, see if it works. Okay, so that's in now. Again, simply pushing it in, 2 bolts in, longer one, shorter one, cable on top, tighten it down with your 10mm nut on top there, and then that is it. Dead simple. So now we're going to give it a whirl and see if it'll crank over. I'm pretty sure there's enough juice in the battery because I have charged it recently. So yeah, let's give it a go. Alright, so just turn it on now. So I think it's still doing the same thing. If we just try and crank it over, as you see, it's trying, but it's just not cranking it over. So it's a similar situation. So I'm going to check the voltages in the battery and see. This time it might actually be a weak battery because it has been stood for about a couple of weeks since charging it. So I'll cut away again and give that a whirl and see. Alright, so I've got the multimeter here. It's on the negative side, so just connect the positive. As you can see, it's reading 12.0506. So that's not enough at all to start the bike. So hopefully that's the reason as to why it's doing it. So we'll charge the battery and try again. But basically, yeah, that's what it was doing last time. Just weak. Like it's trying, but I think it's just this time the battery's too weak. So I'm going to charge the battery up, give it another go and see what happens then. Right, so yeah, we'll leave it at that and try it with a fresh battery shortly. Alright, so I've charged the battery up now. Where are we? Let's see what we got. So we're reading now 12.54. That was max charge. So again, this battery is probably not quite as great as I thought it was, but just for reference sake, I did charge it a couple of weeks ago, but over the past couple of weeks I've been doing some work on the indicators on the rear. As you can see, some wiring. So the ignition's been on and off, lights have been on and off, ignition's on at the moment. So now we've got a stronger battery charge. I'll give it another go, put some choke on, give it a couple of twists of the throttle. So hopefully now it'll crank over and actually work. But it's not. Oh, it is a little bit, but it's still very weak. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Try to choke off. So a bit of a weird one really. So that's just not been a success at all. So I don't really know where to go with that now, but oh well. Either way, it was an interesting video. More informative, just to work out how to get a starter motor on, how to get a starter motor off, and change the brushes on one. So yeah, unfortunately failed, but oh well. Well, I'll keep digging and work it out. Maybe it's something to do with the stator, the worn down, the charging system, I don't know. We'll get there. But anyway, I'll leave it there now, and we'll try again with it. So hopefully there'll be more content on this bike before it's MOT'd. See you later.